Have you ever wondered why the very thing you want most seems to move further away the harder you chase it? Why every prayer, affirmation, or ritual sometimes feels like shouting into an empty sky? Let me tell you a story. A woman once planted a small seed in her garden. Every day she grew restless, unable to trust what was happening beneath the soil. She watered it too much, pulled the earth apart to check if it was sprouting, rearranged the roots to hurry the process. And in her desperate need for proof, the seed never bloomed. What was meant to grow with ease was suffocated by her impatience. This is not just about a garden, it's about us. How many times have you set an intention only to dig it up with doubt, control, and fear? The seed of your desire was never the problem. The soil of the universe was never against you. The real weight lies in something closer, something hidden inside, the restless voice of the ego. The ego whispers, if you work harder, if you control every detail, if you never rest, then you will finally deserve what you seek. But in truth, that voice broadcasts a single signal to the universe. I don't trust. I don't have. I'm not enough. And like a perfect mirror, the universe reflects that state back. Imagine for a moment that manifestation is not a battle to be won, but a wave to be ridden. The ocean doesn't change for the surfer. The tide cannot be commanded. Yet when the surfer aligns, the wave itself carries them effortlessly forward. Could it be that your delays, your frustrations, your endless waiting are not signs of failure, but signs that you're still trying to command the ocean instead of learning to ride it? Because here lies the hidden paradox. The universe works best in the very delays you hate most. What feels like waiting is actually alignment being forged. What feels like emptiness is the exact silence in which the seed begins to break open. But why does the ego resist this so violently? Why does it cling to struggle as if simplicity were dangerous? And what secret does that resistance reveal about your power to manifest? Have you ever had the unsettling sense that life was trying to whisper something to you, but you couldn't quite translate the message? Maybe it was a dream that kept returning night after night, so vivid that it followed you into your mornings. You tried to dismiss it as random, yet the details clung to you. The same staircase, the same stranger, the same unspoken feeling that the dream was not just a dream, but a map waiting to be read. Or perhaps it came in the form of numbers. You glance at your phone and it's 11:11. You pay at the store and the total comes to 22 22s. You check the odometer in your car and the digits line up in a perfect pattern. At first, you laugh it off. Just coincidence, you tell yourself. But then, the repetition becomes too frequent, too insistent. It begins to feel as if the fabric of reality itself is nudging you with a hidden code, a private conversation between the universe and your soul. There are other moments too, moments the rational mind cannot explain. You think of someone you haven't spoken to in years, and within hours they call you. You feel a sudden heaviness in your chest right before news arrives of an event miles away. Or your body shivers with goosebumps, even though the room is warm, as if your skin recognizes a truth before your brain can name it. For some, these signs arrive as strange physical sensations. A ringing in the ears at random times, a rush of energy up the spine, or a pressure between the eyes. Doctors might shrug, unable to find a cause, but deep inside you suspect the body is becoming an antenna, tuning into frequencies most people ignore. And then there are the silent intuitions, that gut feeling that tells you not to take a certain road, not to trust a certain promise, not to ignore that small voice inside. You can't explain it, but when you listen, something falls into place. When you don't, consequences unfold that make you wish you had trusted the whisper. All of these are not accidents. They are not meaningless. They are the secret language of a universe that doesn't always use words. It speaks in patterns, in rhythms, in subtle nudges that bypass logic and reach directly into your awareness. The problem is not that the signs are missing, it's that the ego dismisses them. The ego insists on control, on explanation, on proof that fits neatly into the boxes of reason. But the field, the spiritual current that shapes reality, does not speak in boxes, it speaks in mystery. And so you find yourself torn between two worlds. On one side, the ordinary routines, alarm clocks, bills, deadlines, conversations about nothing. On the other, the extraordinary signals, dreams that pulse with meaning, numbers that seem to follow you, sensations that feel like a doorway into something bigger. One world demands you ignore, the other begs you to awaken. Think about the last time you brushed off one of these signals. Did you tell yourself you were imagining it? Did you convince yourself that only spiritual people see signs and that you should stay grounded, stay logical? And yet, doesn't a part of you ache at the thought that you may have silenced a message meant for you? This is the hidden pain so many carry. It's not just the struggle to manifest a dream job, a partner, or financial freedom. It's the deeper wound of feeling disconnected from the very intelligence that is trying to guide you. It's the loneliness of sensing there is a pattern but not knowing how to read it. The frustration of believing in miracles but never being sure if they are happening in your own life. And the truth is, you're not alone. People everywhere are feeling it. The tension between the noise of everyday life and the quiet insistence of the soul. They see repeating numbers, feel unusual sensations, hear whispers in dreams, but they're too afraid or too distracted to admit what they already know. Reality is not silent. Reality is alive, interactive, responsive. But here lies the deeper mystery. If the universe is speaking to you all the time, why does the ego resist it so fiercely? Why does it convince you that the signs are nothing, that you're imagining things, that you need more proof before you can trust? Could it be that the very voice that demands certainty is the same voice blocking you from seeing what is already here? And so the question lingers in the air, heavy yet magnetic. If these signals are not coincidences, but a language, what is it that the universe is truly trying to tell you, and what part of yourself is afraid to hear the answer? There is a reason why certain signs follow you relentlessly, almost as if they were stalking your attention. Among all the signals that whisper from the unseen, one stands above the rest. It is the ancient code of numbers repeating, the hidden rhythm that reality uses when words are not enough. Think of how often this has happened to you. You look at the clock and it reads 11:11. You wake at night and the digits shine 3:33. You pay at the store and the receipt carries 44:44. At first you may laugh, but then it repeats again and again, like a pulse in the background of your life. And somewhere inside, you know it is not random. Mystics across ages understood numbers not merely as tools for calculation, but as vibrations. In the Jewish tradition of Kabbalah, letters and numbers were bridges between heaven and earth, each carrying divine frequencies. In early Christianity, St. Augustine spoke of numbers as the universal language through which God ordered creation. And long before them, Pythagoras taught that numbers revealed the music of the cosmos, the hidden harmony behind appearances. So when 11:11 appears, it is not coincidence, it is a mirror, two gates standing side by side, a threshold of awakening. It is the universe whispering, you are aligned, the door is open, pay attention. But why does this matter to your life? Because every repeating number is a signal of coherence, a sign that the inner frequency you are broadcasting is beginning to synchronize with the field around you. In those moments, you are not lost. You are in rhythm. You are being guided. Consider this. In the Bible, the number 40 is repeated again and again. 40 days of rain in the flood. 40 years in the desert. 40 days of fasting for Christ. Was it simply arithmetic, or was it a vibration? 40 symbolized a cycle of transformation, a space where old patterns die and new creation begins. Numbers are not decorations. They are divine fingerprints left in time. Now, let us return to your own story. When you see these signs, the ego rushes to dismiss them. It's nothing. Don't be foolish. Just math on a clock. But deep down, the soul trembles because it knows the truth. The field is speaking. It is asking you to listen, not with logic, but with resonance. Imagine you are walking in a dense forest, and suddenly you find markings on the trees, guiding you along a hidden trail. That is what these numbers are. They are markers left by the invisible hand, proof that you are not wandering alone, proof that reality itself bends to remind you that you are being seen. And yet, here lies the forbidden knowledge. The ego fears these signals because they dismantle its power. The ego thrives on control, on explanations, on rational certainty. But when numbers repeat with perfect timing, the ego has no defense. It cannot explain why the same code greets you across days, months, years. So it tries to blind you, convincing you to ignore, to label it chance. Because if you truly listened, you would remember that life is not random and the ego would lose its throne. This is the first great secret. The universe uses repetition to break through your doubt. It knows your mind forgets. It knows your logic resists. So it stamps the same symbol again and again until your resistance cracks, until you finally whisper to yourself, "This cannot be coincidence." That whisper is the beginning of awakening. But let's go deeper. Why 1111? Why not 1010 or 1212? Because the number one itself is the vibration of unity. It represents the single source, the indivisible essence. Two ones side by side create a portal. Duality, remembering its origin in oneness. Four ones aligned mirror stability, the four directions, the four gospels, the four corners of creation, all pointing back to one truth. When you see 1111, you are literally standing in the doorway between the fragmented self and the whole self. Here is something most will not tell you. The field responds faster when you acknowledge the sign. When you pause, when you breathe, when you say quietly, "I see you," coherence sharpens. The dialogue deepens. It is like answering a knock on the door. The universe was waiting for you to notice. This is why Jesus said, "Unless you become like little children, you will not enter the kingdom of heaven." Children notice. They marvel. They point at the butterfly, the star, the strange coincidence. They are not numb. They are alive to the conversation. And that innocence is what numbers are trying to return you to. So the next time 1111 glows, do not dismiss it. Do not rush past it. Stop. Feel. Ask yourself, what was I thinking just now? What was I feeling? What intention was alive in me? Because the number is not only a greeting, it is a confirmation. The field is reflecting your inner broadcast back to you. And here is the part most never speak aloud. When you ignore the sign, you delay the flow. When you honor it, you accelerate it. Because the act of recognition itself is a vibrational choice. It is saying, "I am awake, I am aligned, I am ready." This is not superstition. This is coherence. Just as tuning forks vibrate in resonance, your awareness vibrates with the symbols it acknowledges. Ignore the vibration, and the signal weakens. Acknowledge it, and it amplifies. So the first great revelation is this. The signs are the proof that the universe is already speaking. The delay you hate is not silence. It is repetition, knocking until you answer. And now I ask you, how many times has the universe been knocking and you told yourself it was nothing? How many whispers did you brush aside only to later realize they were guiding you all along? Before we step deeper into this mystery, I want to invite you into something sacred. If these words are stirring something in you, if you've ever felt those repeating numbers or hidden signals, then I ask you to gently press like on this video and subscribe. Not as a favor, but as an initiation. As a way of saying, yes, I belong to this circle. Yes, I choose to be part of this community that sees beyond the veil. Because together, as a community of seekers, we give these truths permission to rise again. And the more we gather, the louder the hidden language becomes. So let me leave you with a question. A doorway you cannot unsee. If numbers are only the beginning, what deeper, more personal sign is already unfolding in your life right now? One that you have been too distracted, too doubtful, too afraid to recognize. There was once a man named Daniel. On the outside, his life looked stable, an office job, a modest home, a predictable routine. Yet inside, he carried a quiet emptiness that grew heavier with every passing year. He wanted change. He wanted more than bills, deadlines, and small talk. He wanted to feel that his life mattered. But no matter how much he tried, setting goals, reading self-help books, even forcing himself through endless affirmations, nothing seemed to move. Everything felt delayed, stuck in invisible mud. It was during one of those ordinary days that the first sign appeared. He was driving home late at night after a long shift. The streets were nearly empty, the city lights reflecting on wet asphalt from an earlier rain. Tired, he reached for the radio knob, but something pulled his eyes to the dashboard clock. It was 11:11. At first, he shrugged, just a coincidence. But then, the next night, as he turned into his neighborhood, there it was again. 11:11 glowing back at him. Days passed. He began to notice the pattern everywhere. The receipt at a gas station totaled 11:11s. A phone call came in from a number ending with 1111. He woke in the middle of the night, restless, only to see the glowing digits of 333 staring at him like a secret code. At first, it unsettled him. Was it just random? His rational mind told him to ignore it. Yet each time, something inside stirred, a tingle down his spine, goosebumps on his skin, a feeling that reality itself was trying to reach him. The turning point came on a rainy afternoon. Daniel was sitting at his kitchen table, the window fogged with condensation. His heart was heavy from another rejection email, yet another job he had applied for, yet another door closed. He buried his head in his hands and whispered, almost angrily, "What am I doing wrong? Why won't anything change?" When he finally lifted his head, his gaze landed on the digital clock on his microwave. 4:44. He froze. The air felt charged, as if the room itself was listening. He felt the hairs on his arms stand upright, and in that silence, a single thought came, not from his mind, but from somewhere deeper. You are not being punished. You are being prepared. The tears came without warning. For the first time in years, he felt not abandoned, but accompanied. The numbers were not coincidences. They were breadcrumbs, guiding him to trust the invisible rhythm rather than the noisy demands of his ego. From that day, Daniel's life began to change, but not in the way he expected. The numbers did not bring him instant wealth or a sudden career miracle. Instead, they trained his attention. They softened his heart. Each time they appeared, he paused, breathed, and asked, "What am I meant to see right now?" Slowly, his energy shifted. He stopped pushing so hard, stopped drowning himself in doubt. He began journaling his dreams, noticing repeating themes. He started walking each evening in silence, letting the numbers be conversation starters with the universe. And in those quiet walks, inspiration flowed. A new business idea came to him, not through frantic planning, but through stillness. A relationship began to heal, not through argument, but through his willingness to listen. It was as if the field had been waiting all along, waiting for him to notice that life is not random, that guidance is always present, if only we allow it. Daniel often looked back and shivered at the thought, what if he had ignored it all? What if he had dismissed the signs as nonsense? His life would have continued in circles, repeating the same frustration, the same emptiness. Instead, by trusting the strange rhythm of numbers, he discovered something greater than proof. He discovered a dialogue. And perhaps this is why stories like his resonate so deeply, because they remind us that we too are surrounded by signals. Every person watching this has lived moments when reality felt more like a mirror than a machine. Maybe you felt it in dreams that seemed too vivid to dismiss. Maybe in a sudden thought that saved you from danger. Maybe in numbers repeating until you could no longer deny them. Daniel's testimony is not rare. It is simply what happens when the veil thins, when the universe grows tired of your doubt and decides to knock louder. So I turn to you now. What signs have followed you? What secret codes has the universe been sending into your life? I want you to share them in the comments below. Tell me the dreams, the numbers, the feelings, the synchronicities that made you pause. I read them. I carry them. And in the next videos, I may even speak your name and story aloud so that this circle, this community of seekers, becomes a living book of signs for others who are searching. Because the signs are not meant to isolate you. They are meant to remind you that you belong to life, to spirit, to something larger than the ego can ever control. But here is the question that lingers, the cliffhanger that Daniel's story leaves hanging in the air. If the numbers are only the first layer of guidance, what deeper message is hiding underneath, waiting for the moment you finally have the courage to listen? If numbers are the first whisper of the universe, dreams are the second, louder, richer, and filled with images that the rational mind cannot explain. For centuries, mystics, prophets, and seekers have known that the night is not merely rest for the body, but an open field where the soul travels and speaks in symbols. And yet, in our modern world, most people treat dreams as random static, fragments of a tired brain. They wake, shake them off, and rush back into routine. But the hidden truth is this: your dreams are coded letters delivered straight to your spirit, carrying messages the daylight could not reveal. Think of the times you've had a dream so vivid it haunted you the next morning. Perhaps you were walking through a house you had never seen before, each room stirring emotions you could not name. Or maybe you saw a loved one who had passed away, smiling, speaking words that you swore were more than imagination. Sometimes it is simpler, the same animal appearing over and over, the same staircase, the same door that refuses to open. These are not meaningless fragments. They are signals, threads of communication between your subconscious and the infinite field. Ancient traditions treated dreams as sacred. In the Bible, Joseph's dreams guided nations. He saw sheaves of wheat bowing, stars bending, symbols that revealed destiny long before logic could catch up. In other cultures, shamans traveled through dreamscapes as training grounds for the soul, believing that what was healed in the dream could transform the waking world. Even science confirms that during REM sleep, the brain accesses states of creativity and pattern recognition unavailable in waking consciousness. In other words, the dream is not chaos, it is coherence in disguise. So how do you recognize when a dream is not just a dream but a spiritual signal? The first clue is repetition. If a theme, image, or place returns again and again, it is the universe insisting on your attention. The second clue is intensity. If the dream lingers, if the emotions follow you throughout the day, joy, fear, awe, that is a sign it carries weight. And the third clue is symbolism that seems larger than your life. Floods, fires, soaring birds, open skies. These archetypes belong not only to you, but to the language of the collective soul. Now let's make this practical. Tonight, when you lie down, set a simple intention. Whisper it as if speaking to an unseen friend. If there is a message for me, let me remember it. Place a notebook or your phone beside your bed. The moment you wake, even if it is 3 in the morning, capture what you saw. Write every detail, no matter how trivial. Do not edit. Do not judge. Simply record. Then, here is the technique. When you read it back, ask 3 questions. What emotion was strongest? Fear, hope, longing? That is the first clue. The emotion is the ink in which the message is written. What symbol stood out most? A staircase, a bird, a stranger? Look not at the literal image, but at what it evokes in you personally. A staircase may mean growth, a bird freedom, a stranger guidance. Where might this apply to my waking life right now? The dream is never random. It is always tethered to the season of your soul. This practice is not complicated. In fact, it may feel almost too simple. But the ego will resist it, whispering, "It was only a dream. It doesn't matter." That resistance is itself the proof that it does matter. Because the ego fears simplicity. It fears a wisdom that bypasses its control. Dreams are direct. They go beneath the chatter of the mind and speak to the essence of who you are. Let me share an example. A woman I once spoke with kept dreaming of water. Every night she found herself on a shoreline, sometimes calm, sometimes stormy. For weeks she ignored it. Then one night, the dream shifted. She was drowning. When she finally wrote it down, she realized water for her symbolized emotions she had been suppressing. She was holding back grief, refusing to cry, convincing herself she was fine. The dream did not come to frighten her. It came to save her, to force her to face what the ego was burying. Once she allowed herself to grieve, the dream shifted again. This time, the water was calm, carrying her like a gentle current. Her life began to feel lighter, freer. Dreams are not punishments. They are invitations. Each symbol is a torch carried by your deeper self, illuminating corners of your reality that your waking eyes refuse to see. And when you honor them, you enter into cooperation with the universe. You are no longer begging for signs outside of you. You are learning to read the signs already blooming within. Here is the secret most ignore. The more you write your dreams, the more the universe speaks through them. At first, they may seem vague, but within weeks, patterns emerge. Guidance sharpens, answers arrive. It is as if your soul, realizing you are finally listening, decides to open the floodgates. And this is the second great revelation. Your dreams are not separate from your manifestations. They are the rehearsal space, the blueprint, the sacred script that teaches your waking self how to align. So tonight, when you close your eyes, remember, you are not simply sleeping. You are stepping into a classroom where the universe itself is the teacher. Before I leave you with the next mystery, I want to invite you to become part of this journey with me. If you are finding resonance in these teachings, press the like button and subscribe, not as a casual act, but as your way of stepping into this community, a circle where hidden wisdom is not dismissed, but shared. Here, you are not alone in your signs. Here, your experiences become part of a larger tapestry of seekers, remembering who they are. And now, I must leave you with a question that hangs heavy with promise. If numbers are the first layer of signs, and dreams are the second, what is the deeper signal? The one so profound, so rarely recognized, that almost no one dares to speak about. There is a sign deeper than numbers, deeper even than dreams. A sign so intimate that most people overlook it entirely, because it doesn't appear outside of you. It appears within you. It is not written on clocks or etched into dreamscapes. It pulses in your very being. The sign is the state of your own heart. From the beginning of time, prophets and sages have pointed to it, though they used different names. In Christianity, it was the circumcision of the heart, the awakening of the inner temple. In mystical Judaism, it was the heart made flesh as the true sanctuary of the Shekinah. In Eastern traditions, it was the lotus blooming at the chest, the energy center where heaven and earth kiss. And today, science itself confirms what mystics always knew. The heart is more than a pump of blood. It is an electromagnetic field, thousands of times stronger than that of the brain, broadcasting frequencies that shape the reality you experience. This is the third and most profound signal. When your heart enters coherence, numbers call you, dreams teach you, but the heart transforms you. Think of the times you felt it without explanation. The sudden rush of peace when you pray, even before your prayer is answered. The tears that fall without sadness, as if your soul is leaking light. The inexplicable warmth in your chest when you forgive someone you thought you could never forgive. These are not moods. They are not hormones. They are the language of the heart, broadcasting alignment into the field. When the heart is incoherent, beating with the rhythm of fear, anger, stress, the signal is scrambled. The universe reflects back confusion, delay, scarcity. But when the heart is coherent, steady, open, pulsing with trust, the signal becomes clear. Suddenly, synchronicities accelerate, healing flows. What once felt impossible unfolds with ease. This is not metaphor, this is measurable. The HeartMath Institute has shown that in states of heart coherence, the brain and body synchronize, creating harmony that extends beyond the skin, influencing the electromagnetic field around you. And here lies the mystery that religion and physics both affirm. You are not separate from creation, you are a living antenna of it. The Gospel of Luke records Jesus saying, "The kingdom of God is within you, not above the stars or in some distant future, but within." The kingdom is coherence itself. The moment your inner vibration mirrors the perfection of the source. This is why the delays you hate most often happen. They are not punishments, they are invitations. They are the universe waiting, almost pleading, for your heart to shift into coherence before the manifestation arrives. Because the field will not mirror what you say, or even what you think. It mirrors what your heart truly broadcasts. Let me ask you, how many times have you prayed with your lips, but your heart was full of doubt? How many times have you spoken affirmations while your chest still pulsed with fear? That is the hidden blockage. Not that you didn't try enough, but that the frequency of your heart contradicted the words of your mouth. But here is the liberating truth. You can change that broadcast, and you can do it now. Close your eyes, place your hand over your heart. Breathe deeply, not shallow, not rushed, but slowly, as if the air itself was sacred. With each breath, imagine your chest glowing. Feel gratitude for one simple thing, a memory, a face, even the breath itself. That gratitude is the key. Within 90 seconds, your heart begins to shift. Within minutes, the broadcast changes. You become coherent. And coherence is the most powerful prayer the universe has ever heard. This is not about perfection. It is not about earning worth. It is about resonance. Numbers awaken you, dreams instruct you, but the heart is the altar. When it opens, reality bends. And in this moment, I want to pause because what I am sharing is not just information, it is devotion. I create these messages not for profit, but because I believe someone out there needs to hear them, someone who has been waiting for a sign that they are not alone. If these words are resonating in your chest right now, if you feel that subtle stirring, then I ask you, please subscribe to this channel and press like. Not as a transaction, but as an act of belonging. Each time you do, you help strengthen this community, this circle of seekers who dare to believe that hidden wisdom still speaks. Every subscription, every click of support tells me that this work matters, that I should continue pouring heart into it. Because together, we are not just watching a video, we are participating in a movement of remembrance. And so I leave you here at the edge of revelation with a single haunting question. If your heart is the most powerful signal of all, then what happens when the heart fully awakens, not just for moments, but as a permanent state of being? What reality would unfold if humanity itself entered coherence? Every sign we have explored, numbers echoing in impossible repetition, dreams speaking in the language of symbols, the silent broadcast of the heart, was never meant to exist in isolation. They are threads of a single tapestry, woven to remind you of one truth. You are not drifting through chaos. You are being called into awakening. For too long, many have lived under the weight of disconnection, believing that life is a series of accidents, that delays are punishments, that silence means absence. But if you look closer, you see that reality has never stopped whispering. The universe has been at your side all along, nudging, repeating, insisting, until your awareness sharpens enough to recognize the pattern. And now, here you are, listening not with your ears only, but with your soul. Think about the moments in your own life, the coincidences that happened at exactly the right time, the dream you could not shake, the sudden stillness in your chest that told you to trust, even when everything seemed uncertain. These were not random sparks. They were summons, gentle awakenings, drawing you closer to the truth that your life is part of something vast, intelligent, and compassionate. Mystics across ages described this same reality with different names: the Tao, the kingdom, the field, the Logos. Science calls it coherence, resonance, quantum alignment, but the essence is the same. There is a fabric beneath appearances, and you are woven into it. You are not separate. You are not forgotten. And this realization carries a mission. Because awakening is not meant only for private comfort, it is meant to ripple outward. When you recognize the language of the signs, you carry light into places where others still wander in doubt. You become the dream that awakens another, the number that startles someone into wonder, the calm heart that radiates peace in the middle of chaos. You stop waiting for miracles and start embodying them. This is what it means to live awake, to see your own life as a message, to let your existence itself become a signal of hope for others. And perhaps this is the greatest secret of all, that the universe was never simply sending you signs. It was shaping you into one. Now, before we close, I want to speak to you directly. These words, these chapters, are not scripted for profit. They are born from passion, from a desire to remind souls like yours that you are not alone, and that hidden wisdom is still alive. If what you've heard resonates in your heart, I invite you to help keep this flame alive. Click like, subscribe, and become part of this community. A circle of seekers who believe that the unseen is just as real as the seen. And I want something more intimate from you. In the comments, write your name and the city you are watching from. Why? Because I want to read them. I want to know who walks this journey with me, and in the next video, I may even speak your name aloud. Imagine that, a moment where your name, your story, your presence becomes part of this shared awakening, a gentle recognition, a blessing sent across the screen. So tell me, who are you and where are you watching from? Share your sign, your city, your soul. Together, we are not just viewers scattered across the world. We are a living constellation of light. And as we close, let me leave you with this final thought. The universe has not finished speaking. What you have discovered here are only the first layers of a deeper revelation. There are mysteries yet to be unveiled, truths waiting in the silence, signs that will shake you with wonder. The next step is coming, and when it arrives, it will not just inform you, it will transform you. Because the greatest secret of all is this: the universe does not just send signs, it is the sign, and so are you.